Okay, so this is probably going to be the quickest tutorial because it's texture mapping, and texture mapping is always one of the longest and hardest, most difficult things you can do uh, with any kind of character, because there's so many different possibilities when it comes to texture mapping. But I'm saying this is going to be quick because I don't want to go through that. I mean, texture mapping, you're going to come back to texture mapping quite often. And I use a program called Substances, but I'm not going to do that with this tutorial. I'm just going to show you how to make a texture map inside a Blender. So a lot of people don't know all the little funky tricks that you have to do, but okay, so let's get right into it. So here's the bullet character, and we're going to go up here and we're going to go into this menu and we're going to go to UV editing. Okay, and now the problem is, that has always been the problem, is that you have to create a texture. So let's click on this character, on the actual object. Let's just get rid of the bones there. So in here you have a material, so let's just call this bullet material. Okay, always good to rename things, you know, just so that you can do. So right here we have a texture. We already have a texture, but this is called a generated texture. Okay, that's a big problem because the Unity engine will always generate this texture all the time. That's not what we want. We want to have a texture that we can paint on that's different. So what we're going to do is we're going to say type is image or movie. So down here we're going to click on new and we're going to say bullet texture. Okay, and 1000 by 24 by same, you know, 1024 square is perfect. Okay, that's what we want. And right here it says blank color grid, UV grid, or blank, and we're just gonna leave it. We could pick a color grid, but let's just go with blank, and let's go with a nice brown, because the bullets are all brown, right? Kind of a golden brown right here. Let's go that blank, and it has alpha, of course. And we're gonna press OK. Now the first thing that we need to do, oh wow, let's just get rid of that, and let's go with this. I'm gonna go ahead and quit Blender. Hopefully it's gone. Oh, it's still there. Oh, gosh darn it. Here, let's just rename that. Usually it changes. There we go. Now what we have to do with the bullet texture is we have to save it. Okay, and how we do that is we go into UV editing and we say bullet texture. Okay, bullet texture, so that it's now put onto this model, right? You have to select it, then you have to change here, then you have to go to image. See how it has this asterisk on there? And you have to save as image, and you have to save your image outside of Blender, or else Blender won't save anything. Okay, now Blender, there's a way to go into image and pack all images. I believe pack image, yeah. That's buggy. It embeds the image into the blend file, and you don't really want to do that anyways. It's actually not such a desirable thing. Look at all that. Why is it so close up next to each other? Huh. Let's say UVs. Let's unwrap this again. Oh yeah, I did it. Huh. Margin, here we are. Okay, yeah, because I don't like that margin. That margin is really bad. There we go. Okay, a little bit better margin. Yes. Yeah, much better. Okay. Yeah, that margin was just way too close to each other. There's always that bleeding effect or whatever that occurs with texture work. Anyways, and now the problem is like every time you make a change, let's go right into tools. So we're gonna paint, okay, and we can paint in here too. Let's go ahead and go to texture paint, and why is it not showing up? Okay, add paint slot. Okay. Gosh darn it. Thought I had this all figured out. Here, let's go back to default. Bullet texture. Yeah, color, diffuse, texture solid. Okay, it's there, but it's not coming up. Okay, okay, gosh. Let's see here. Oh, okay, no, okay. Okay, no. Missing texture. Here, let's get this bigger. Add a paint slot below. I don't know what that even means. Does that even mean something? Okay, let's just do that. Okay. Okay. External. No. Symmetry. Okay. No. Diffuse color. What? Huh. Huh. That's not what I'm looking for. Okay. So something happens and this happens. So this diffuse color here, something's happening here. Okay. Bullet texture. Okay. I don't know. I'm confused. Okay, let's just go to UV editing. I guess there's two textures now. There's bullet texture. Okay, yeah, there's two textures now. So anyways, now you see the asterisks again. You want to just keep saving, save image, and Alt S is of course the and see now the asterisk's gone, and it told you up here that you just saved your image out. Okay, so that's what you want to see. You want to see that. And now why the hell there's two diffuse, I don't know. Blender, this new update 2.77, for some reason it keeps coming up saying I have to create a diffuse channel right here. It keeps saying to create a diffuse channel, create a diffuse channel. I don't know. Every time I go to texture painting, it wants me to create some kind of diffuse channel. I have no idea why it wants me to keep doing that. Maybe I should just create the texture over here. Maybe that's it. Maybe I have some weird program that's running in the background that I don't know about. You know, always could be always a thing, always something, huh? Okay, so this is the mouth area. So we're just gonna make that red. Let's just make that red. And then over here, let's make this kind of a golden yellow around his mouth. Kind of looks weird, huh? Kind of looks like he's kind of drunk or something. Or he has like a weird robot mustache or something. Now, I didn't give the mouth its own like textures. You know, I didn't like separate the mouth. Usually you want to separate the mouth and put it over here. I don't really care. I mean, because it's just not like it's a mouth. Like, when are you ever gonna see inside of a freaking mouth? Like, ever? Like, is that ever gonna happen? Oops. Okay. Okay, and always press Alt S to save your image. And let's see here. Save this character. Eyedropper. I wonder if there's like a command, a quick command for eyedropper. Let's take a look really quick. Quick command. Shortcut S. Okay, let's do that. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, look at that. I just learned something new. It doesn't change the color based on the color right here. It projects right to the surface. You see that? See how it's like darker here because of the shadow? It's not doing that. So if you hold S, you get that. You get that nice perspective. Get that nice gradient. And thing about Blender, especially texture work, is the thing about texture work is that people like to dirty up their models. You know, if your model is too clean looking, people generally think you didn't do your job as an artist. And if you have a Wacom tablet, of course, this is a lot easier. I do have a Wacom tablet. I just don't have it set up at all. There's no setup. And go. Get that nice mouth in there. Alright. And then of course you gotta save it. So you're gonna go Alt S to save it. That's always gotta be, I mean, that's gotta be on your top priority right there. That is like super top priority. So with Blender you can project images, but I'm not gonna do that since this is kind of a cartoon character. Like a bronzy look to it. I was really just thinking about going into substances and just painting from there, because substances of course works a lot better when it comes to making really photorealistic textures and just textures in general. But yeah, that's basically concludes my tutorial. I just wanted to show you guys how to set up this how to get the textures working. But I mean, this is gonna take forever. Texture work is always the longest. It always takes, you just paint on layers, you just keep painting more and more layers, and your model starts to look better and better over time. And in general, it's just, this is I think the longest. Texturing is always the longest and hardest when it comes to model creation. I think this is probably longer than just modeling the model itself, you know. modeling the model itself takes usually shorter amounts of time. And this is a generally not complicated model. I mean, this is like super easy, you know, to do. I mean, the more complicated your model is, the longer it's going to take to paint it out, you know. It's like if you ever painted miniatures, you know, it's like that, where putting together the miniatures was actually pretty easy. And then now you have to paint them, and it's like, that takes so long. It's mostly, I think painting is like a test of endurance. You know, I think of it as like, you know, can you survive the endurance model? Can you survive 8 hours straight just sitting here painting? You know, because every little detail has to be painted. I mean, you have to literally just paint everything. You know, there's no shortcuts to it. You know, with modeling, you just make a little box and you extrude it, and now you got an eyebrow. You know, like how easy that was. You know, to create an eyebrow. This is so easy. But now you have to texture paint it. Now you have to actually get down there to the details and start texturing the whole thing. And generally, it's just kind of not very pleasant. It's not a process that I guess it's fun. It's very zen-like. You know, the whole process of creating artwork is a zen-like process. Save your image. Always remember to save your image. Here, I'm going to show you. I think so let's just say that I wanted to create like a blue line like that. Oops. Right? And I save it, and then I quit. See that? Wait. Now we're going to go back to it. The blue line's not there. See, it didn't warn you that your image wasn't saved. It didn't warn you. You're like painting and painting and painting. You're like, you know, I'm gonna save it, and you think that you just saved your work. It says save over, right? You see that? And then you quit Blender. And you come back to it, and you're like, alright, I did all that awesome work, and it's not there. And you're like, I didn't save the image. So I emailed Blender about that. Like, why don't they warn you that your image isn't saved? I mean, they have an asterisk right here. You know, when you do something, see that asterisk? Blender knows that you haven't saved it. They know that, right? Blender knows that you didn't save it. Why wouldn't it warn you that your project isn't saved? Like, you're gonna lose your work. Why wouldn't they do that? I've never understood it. I've never understood why that would be. You know, why would that be? Why would, you know, Blender not warn you about that? That's just so freaking weird. I could never understand. I still don't understand why it doesn't warn you. It would come up here, it would save, and then you'll say quit, and it would say error, you have unsaved data. You know, I remember back in the day, way back in the day, Blender didn't even have undo, right? I mean, it was like there was no undo function. There was, I mean, seriously, think about that. Like, no undo. Think about that for a second. We're just not gonna have undo. Undo's for the, you know, other programs. You know, other programs have undo. That's not Blender. Blender's we're European. You know, we don't do undos here. If you want undo, go pay for it. But eventually Blender got undo, so that's good. You know, we all enjoy undoing something that we you know, that we messed up on. You know, it's always nice to know that there's an undo button. I mean, imagine working in Blender back in the day, 10 years ago, working in Blender, and there was no undo button. I mean, imagine that. I mean, how crazy do you think that would be? I mean, I worked with Blender and there was no undo. I'm like, where's the undo button? And then on the internet, you know, the internet was a completely different place back then, you know. People would say, what? Undo? There's no undo button. This is Blender. If you did something by mistake, then that's your fault. You know, you can't blame Blender for that. And you know, they were right. I mean, I would say that they were right. I'll be like, yeah, you're right. You know, I shouldn't have made a mistake, but I did, and that's the way it is. Now there's other tools. Okay, there's options here. I always liked, I think there was a, I guess not. I thought there was a tool that mirrored it. Maybe not. Yeah, you can change the paint curve. You know, that's always nice to do. Let's increase the strength here so you can see it. Let's see here. Let's just pick a different color. Yeah, that's just blocky. But there's different curves you can do. Yeah. So let's just say that you wanted to get rid of this mouth. Okay, let's just say that you were like, that looks terrible. Let me just show you really quick. And let's Alt S this image. The asterisk is no longer there, so now let's just go back to the default view. And let's go into edit mode with this character. And let's go ahead and cut out let's just go ahead and mark seam right there, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna select all of these points so that now we have all of this selected. So what we want to do is we want to go into the UV editor again, and we're gonna go into the view. So look at that. We just have that selected. So what we're going to do is we're going to unwrap just that. See that? We unwrapped just that. But apparently it didn't unwrap correctly. Okay, so we have to go unwrap it correctly. Let us mark the seam right here. Mark seam. And then we'll there we go, and then we there's something selected, and then we will just unwrap this. Okay, unwrap that. Okay, now it's unfolded correctly. Okay, so now we just unfolded the mount. So we're gonna go ahead and select everything, and now with just that selected, we're gonna move it over here. So now we just got rid of the thing. We kept everything else the same. Okay, you see that? Everything else is the same except the mouth. So now we say, oh, I didn't like that, how it was like all glitchy and stuff. It just didn't work very well for me. Now it's right there. See that? See that? So Blender allows for, you know, going back and forth. You know, if you messed up or if you didn't like something, you can always go back and change that. And the eyeballs, I might actually change the eyeballs. There's a lot of little problems. Why is there a seam down the middle like that? Why is that? The eyeball shouldn't be cut like that. See, that's the problem with the eyeball. See, the eyeball, something's wrong with the eyeball. So I'm going to have to fix that. Or not. I mean, it just might not even matter. We might not even see anything with the seams. Like I said before, seams are always a problem. You always want to deal with seams. Let's go ahead and go back into paint mode. And let's go ahead and go back into paint mode. Texture paint. So I want that red color right there because I want his mouth to be totally red. I think yeah, S, right? S, yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and just do that. See that? Now his mouth is looking less pixelated, less glitchy, looking a lot better, I think. Yeah, see? Looking a whole lot better down there, you know? Nice mouth. Gotta have a nice mouth. You know, I can't have a bad mouth. I think this was the normal. Yeah, let's just go with that. And then we'll just darken it, or whatever. There we go. Making it look nice and dark in there. Get to paint everything. Normally I put a tongue in my characters, and I might actually go model a tongue. You know, because tongues are funny. I just didn't really see the point of having a tongue on this character. I wasn't even planning on having his mouth do anything really in particular. He's just like a generic bad guy character, you know. You're just gonna see a bullet in the background, you know, a bullet shooting bullets or whatever, you know. There we go. Looks like he's been munching on something, so he's got stuff all around his mouth. Munching on bullet food or whatever, you know. I don't know. It's really, you just have to go through each and everything. Alt S, always save it. And that's it. That's all I really want to show you guys. I don't want to, you know, go through every freaking thing, the whole process of painting, because I'm going to go back and forth, because like what you just saw with the mouth there, I forgot to put a seam there, and so I just simply cut it out. So I showed you how to do that. There's other things that I'm sure that I have to look at. As you paint, you're going to notice like problems with the, you know, with the angles. I mean, look at how distorted that is. Like, why is that so distorted? Why? What did I do here? Oops. Okay. Yeah. It's not gonna tell me anything. I'll put, of course, you know, 45. I guess this is a 45 bullet, 45 caliber bullet. You know, bullet right there. Marking letters. I'm gonna make it look a little bit more bullety. You know, bulletsy. It's always good. A cartoony look is always really fun. Everybody always likes a cartoony look, you know. Anyway, that's really it. So, alright, bye.